Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Welcome, Your Holiness. Please accept my respectful obeisances. Yeah.
So can we start?
Yes, Maharaj, we can start.
Om Gyana Timridasya Gyanan Ganashalakaya Chakshuram Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dalati Swapadantikam Vandeham Guru Sri Yukta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Mahagana Raghunastam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swaminiti Namini Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Ashritamani Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvase Yavadi Pasachane Satarine Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasidhya Evacha Patita Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabharaya Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gauratinge Namaha Nityananda Tender Vasuda Pranavalabha Janavir Jivita Patir Krishna Pada Prabhu Padmavati Sutta Srimam Sachiranatha Bhavam Mata Jagat Lantarata Gauratinge Tamharina Dvitaracharya Bhakti Shamshanat Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shakti Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagapate Gopesha Gopita Kantana Santa Namostate Jayatam Snato Pango Mama Majirgat Masalvaswa Padam Bujara Mandana Mohano Divya Ventraya Kalpadrimada Srimaranat Gara Simhastana Stao Sri Sri Radha Srila Govinda Deva Prisyanidhi Sivya Manosmarami Srimam Rasa Rasarambi Ram Sivata Tata Stita Karasan Venu Swanai Gopi Gopinata Sri Estunaha Tato Rangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrisha Manu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Hari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nana Shastra Vicharina
Manoj, please unmute. Your speaker is muted, please.
So everyone is welcome to this morning section. I was saying that there was one point I wanted to mention yesterday, but it skipped my mind. So I want to mention it before we move on to the lesson 3. The grades, there are 3 grades of eligible candidates. We have learned them, we have come across them in the Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, the 3 types of devotees. In Nectar of Devotion, they are described as candidates for pure devotional service. So these are the Uttama Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Kanishta Adhikaris. The Madhyama Adhikari is the best candidate for pure devotional service. Why? Because he has a strong faith and strong scriptural knowledge. Strong faith and strong scriptural knowledge. These are required for one embarking on the path of pure bhakti. We must have very, very strong faith in Krishna. We must have strong faith that Krishna is there. The spiritual world is there. We must have strong faith that we can achieve the spiritual world by the process of bhakti. That strong faith must be there. The faith in the words of the spiritual master, the Guru. We must have strong faith in the words of the Vaishnavas. This is required. And then we also need knowledge. As Chanakya Pandit says, the knowledge is a friend to one who is on a journey. We are on a transcendental journey. We want to return to the spiritual world. So we are on a journey. And in order to get to that destination, we need to have knowledge, the signposts of this. We have knowledge of the signposts on that journey. So therefore, the Uttama Adhikari, he is well equipped with that strong faith, Shraddha, and is equipped with deep knowledge of the scriptures. He is very expert in relevant scriptures. He is very expert in putting forward strong arguments from the scriptures. He understands perfectly well that the ultimate goal of life is Krishna. The ultimate goal of life is to attain the transcendental loving service of Krishna. He knows very well that Krishna is the only object of worship and love. Therefore, he attains firm faith because he has this understanding. He has firm faith in the Lord, and therefore he becomes the best candidate for attaining pure devotional service. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, Hare Prabhu, welcome. Is that Ananta Acharya? Ananta Acharya thing. It's not Ananta Acharya, welcome. So he has firm faith, and therefore that makes him the best candidate for pure devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada has recommended for his followers to study these books so that we can also cultivate these qualities. By studying these books, by studying the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, we are enhanced with strong faith in Krishna. We are enhanced with deep knowledge of the scriptures. And this will make us the best candidates for attaining pure devotional service. The next candidate is the Madhyama Adhikari. The Madhyama Adhikari is considered a medium candidate. He has medium qualification. He has strong faith in the Lord. He has strong faith in the process. He has strong faith in his guru's words. But somewhat his scripture knowledge is weak. And therefore, he cannot present very strong arguments to defeat any opposing party. But because of his strong faith, he cannot be changed. Because of his strong faith, he cannot be converted. So, Srila Prabhupada said, at least we should come to the level of Madhyama Adhikari. If we cannot come to the platform of Uttama Adhikari, we should come to the platform of Madhyama Adhikari. Because that platform, we are safe. When we are on the platform of Madhyama Adhikari, we are safe. Our strong faith will protect us, and nobody can convince us to give up Krishna consciousness. The third class devotee is the Kanishta Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari is the least qualified for pure devotional service because he is weak, his faith is very weak, and his knowledge is also very weak. So, for the Kanishta Adhikari, he can easily be swayed. He can easily be converted. He can easily become confused when there is a strong argument. And that's what happened to many people who are not strong faith. They have no strong faith and they have no knowledge. They take to the process of Krishna consciousness, but very easily, family members, friends, mates, and what have you, they convert him back to his original status, either Christian, Muslim, pagan, or whatever, because his faith is very weak and his knowledge is also very weak. But for the Madhyama Adhikari, even though he doesn't have that deep knowledge of scripture, but he has very, very strong faith, and that protects him. So these are the three candidates that are eligible for pure devotional service. And of the three of them, the Madhyama Adhikari is the best. And therefore, we should all aspire to become Uttama Adhikari. The Uttama Adhikari is the best. So therefore, we should all aspire to become Uttama Adhikaris with strong faith in Krishna consciousness, strong faith in Krishna, and strong and deep understanding of scripture. That is what is Bhakti Sastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Vedanta, and Bhakti Sarvabhauma. That is what it is meant for. Prabhupada designed all these courses to give his followers the opportunity to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Just as we were discussing in the beginning, that the acharyas and the devotees of the Lord are compared to sharks because they do not take pleasure in swimming in shallow rivers. They take pleasure in swimming in the deep, deep ocean. So to be a devotee of Krishna means that one must have knowledge. One must have faith. You have to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then the net of time The fishing net of time will not touch. Those who swim in the shallow rivers, they are easily caught by the net of Maya. And therefore, their devotional service is in trouble, either terminated, weakened, slackened, postponed, or whatsoever. But if one is swimming deep in the ocean of devotional service, in the ocean of faith, in the ocean of knowledge, the nets of time, the nets of Maya will not touch him. So every devotee must aspire to become an Uttama Adhikari. And if we cannot achieve that, at least we should come to the platform of Madhyama Adhikari. So it is said that when one comes to the platform of Madhyama Adhikari, then he falls into the 4 classes of devotees. The 4 servants of Krishna, which are called Ashrayas, are described in the Jaivadam or the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. We have Adhikritas, Ashritas, Parishadas, and Anugas. The Adhikritas, they are qualified servants of the Lord. By the mercy of the Lord, they have been empowered by the Lord. And so they serve in different capacities. The Ashritas, within the Ashrita category, we also have 3 divisions. They are called Saranya, Janichara, and Sevanishtas. So the Ashritas, they are companions of the Lord. They follow the Lord to serve him. And then we have the Parishadas. The Parishadas are the intimate associates of Krishna. They are always with Krishna wherever Krishna is. Then we have the Anugas. The Anugas they personally serve the Lord. So we have 2 kinds also when it comes to Anugas. We have the Purasta Anugas, and we have the Vrajasta Anugas. Pura means city, those who live in the cities, and Vraja means those who live in Vrindavan. So the Purasta Anugas are those who live in Mathura, in Dwaraka. They are living in cities. And the Vrajastas Anugas are those who live in Vrindavan. So when one becomes an Uttama Adhikari, he falls under these 4 categories of devotees. So devotional service qualifies a living entity to become close to Krishna, to belong to one of these categories of servants. So that's the point I jumped over yesterday when I was trying to close. There was a point at the end of my notes, and I jumped over it. So I just felt I should bring it forward before we start today, lesson 3, which is covering Rasamrita Sindhu, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, chapters 4, 5, and 6. So we can start sharing the slides, unless there's some question concerning what we just discussed. If there's no question, we'll proceed. So, summary of Srila Rupa Goswami's instructions. That's slide 87.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Never pronouns.
Dhanava pranams.
We understood that Krishna does not easily give or award pure devotional service because
Yeah.
as soon as he awarded it, it becomes controlled. Is that an
Yeah.
anxiety?
You say?
I want to know if that's an anxiety to him or he's afraid in a way.
It's not an anxiety, it's not afraid. It's just that Krishna wants to be controlled by his devotees, definitely. Krishna wants to be controlled by his devotees. There's a verse somewhere in the Bhagavatam where Krishna is saying that the one who endeavors to love him as a friend, as a parent, as a conjugal lover, and who by his devotion controls him, he's very happy with such a devotee who wants to become his friend, who wants to become his parent, who wants to become his lover, conjugal lover. Krishna is very ecstatic about such devotees. So such devotees are very dear to my heart. In fact, he says, even if they think themselves superior to me, even if such devotees, they think themselves superior to me, I accept, and they're very dear to me. So it's not that Krishna is afraid or some anxiety is there. Krishna has no anxiety. Krishna is the Lord of Vaikuntha, and the Lord of Goloka. Vaikuntha means no anxiety. So Krishna has no anxiety. The only thing is that he's going to be very intimate. He wants to be intimate with a devotee. And in order to become intimate with you, you must be on that level. So he relates with very intimate people, just like yourself and all of us. We don't want to share our secrets with people who are not very close to us. You will not. Yes. You want to share your life, share your secrets, share your very, very intimate things with those who are very close to you. So Krishna is a personality. It's a person. So he wants to share with us the intimacies. But before he shares with us, we have to qualify. And that qualification is pure devotional service. So it's not that Krishna does not give, he gives. If he does not give, how can there be pure devotees? He gives. But then you must demonstrate to Krishna that you are ready for it. So he's reluctant, not because he doesn't want to give. He's reluctant because the living entity, the jiva, is not ready for the sacrifice. The jiva wants to take the association of Krishna very cheaply. And that Krishna does not allow. To associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not a cheap business. It's not that an easy business. So therefore, Krishna is eager to give. It's actually said that when a devotee takes one step, Krishna takes 10 steps. When a devotee takes 1 step towards Krishna, Krishna takes 10 steps towards the devotee. So that shows how Krishna is very eager to welcome us into his intimate association. It is said that when Gopkumar went to the spiritual world, when he entered the spiritual world, Krishna received him. Krishna was the first person to receive him with an embrace and with tears in his eyes. And he was telling Gopkumar, why have you delayed so long? Why have you waited so long in the material world? Why are you not just coming? So Krishna is very eager for us to come home, but we are not eager to go back home. That's our problem. We're not eager. We are still considering so many things in this material world. We are still having so many values for many things in the material world. Our education, our property, our family, our friends, so many things are priority to us. Krishna is not a priority to us, and therefore Krishna will not give that love. He will not give that pure devotional service that you can control him. We want to be controlled by those who love us, even as human beings. If somebody loves us, we don't mind giving our life to him. But if somebody does not love us, we hate giving our life to him. We don't want to deal with him. So Krishna is a person. And as soon as he sees that we are making an endeavor to love him, Krishna awards us that opportunity. So he has no anxiety. He has no fear or whatsoever. It's just that he wants to make sure that the living entity is ready to serve him. Then he would reciprocate.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Krishna, I hope this answers your question.
Yes, Maharaj.
So we move on. Slide 87 says, Rupa Goswami's instructions. All previous instructions imparted by Srila Rupa Goswami in his broad statement can be summarized as follows. As long as one is materially inclined or desirous of merging into the spiritual effulgence, one cannot enter into the realm of pure devotional service. I think Salika Prabhu is trying to share the screen. Summary of Srila Rupa Goswami's instructions. All previous instructions imparted by Srila Rupa Goswami in his broad statement can be summarized as follows. As long as one is materially inclined or desirous of merging into the spiritual effulgence, one cannot enter into the realm of pure devotional service. So it is said that there are 2 witches that are haunting the living entity. And what are these witches? Their desire for material enjoyment and the desire for liberation. These 2 witches, so long as they stay in our hearts, then we cannot engage in pure devotional service. Bhakti mukti sprihayavat pisashi hridi vartate tavad bhakti sukasya yatra katam abudayo bhavet. Katam abudayo bhavet. The material desire to enjoy the material world and the desire to become liberated are considered 2 witches, and they haunt the living entity like a ghost. As long as these 2 witches remain in the heart of the living entity, how can one feel transcendental bliss? As long as these witches remain in the heart, There is no possibility of enjoying transcendental bliss by means of pure devotional service. So this is the summary of Rupa Goswami's several instructions. Now, so long as we still have an innate desire to enjoy matter or liberation, merge into the effulgence of the Lord, we cannot enter into the realm of pure devotional service. That is a fact. So, to enter into the realm of pure devotional service, we must give up this desire to enjoy matter, and we must give up the desire to merge into the effulgence of the Lord. This we must do. Then Krishna will see that we want to associate with him. And we are still making plans how to enjoy the material energy, or we are thinking of merging with the effulgence of the Lord. Krishna immediately understands. Shiva is not yet ready for pure devotional service, and therefore Krishna will not give us pure devotional service. But as soon as Krishna sees that this Jiva is no more inclined towards material enjoyment, and is no more inclined towards Brahman effulgence, then Krishna becomes happy to reward such a soul with pure devotional service. We can go to the next slide, slide 88. So actually, devotional service is a gift from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Lord does not actually discriminate in giving out devotional service. Nicha Jati Nahe Krishna Bhajane. God does not discriminate when it comes to devotional service. To take birth in a low family is not disqualification for devotional service. And to take birth in a high family is no qualification for pure devotional service. Anyone who takes to devotional service and is serious about it, he can become very exalted. So therefore, Krishna does not really discriminate. He is just looking for a sincere soul, irrespective of his material status, academic qualification, or any other such material qualifications. The desire to serve Krishna is what Krishna is looking at. So let's see, Pritha Maharaj's prayers. Pritha Maharaj is praying, Nakamaye na tatat abi, aha, Kwachina yatra yuma charana buja swaha, Mahat tamantar hirdayam mukha chuto, Vidashwa kanar yutam ishame varaha. My dear Lord, I therefore do not wish to have the benediction of merging into your existence, a benediction in which there is no existence of the nectarian beverage of your lotus feet. I want the benediction of at least 1 million years. For thus I may be able to hear about the glories of your lotus feet from the mouths of your pure devotees. So this is Prithu Maharaj prayer. When Lord Vishnu appeared in his sacrificial arena, Prithu Maharaj is making this prayer. So we can see how exalted Prithu Maharaj is. If Krishna should appear today and say, please ask me for a benediction, some of us we are going to ask for many different things. But Prithu Maharaj, the Lord appeared in his arena, sacrificial arena, and this is what Prithu Maharaj is asking for. That I want the benediction of at least 1 million years, so that he may hear the glories of the Lord from the mouths of his pure devotees. So why is Prithu Maharaj making such a prayer? Because he is relishing the nectar, Krishna Katamritam. He is relishing the nectar of Krishna consciousness. He is relishing the nectar of the glories of the Lord. And thereby, he sees that the 2 years are not sufficient, because he's only drinking through 2 years. The nectar he's getting with the 2 years is wonderful. But he's thinking, what about if I have 10 years? If I have 20, 1 million, 10 million, then that means that enjoyment, that pleasure I'm relishing with the 2 years will be multiplied that number of times. So this will give us a clue how wonderful devotional service is, how nectarian the process is. Actually, Rupa Goswami also prayed to Lord Chaitanya like this: that, my dear Lord, 1 tongue is not sufficient. I want hundreds of tongues, because when the holy name dances on my tongue, the joy I get from that single tongue is amazing. So if I have 100 tongues, that would be great. And then he said, I want 1 million years, because when the sound vibration, the sweet sound vibration of the holy name enters the 2 years, the pleasure I get is great. What about if I have 1 million years? Then the pleasure will be multiplied 1 million-fold. And when that sound vibration of the holy name enters the courtyard of the heart, then one is lost in ecstasy. One is lost in the oblivion of transcendence. One is completely immersed. Is immersed in an ocean of bliss, and he forgets of material existence. So Rupa Goswami, well, 500 years back, he also prayed to Lord Chaitanya for 1 million years. So this should let us know that there is joy in Krishna consciousness. There is joy in the execution of Krishna consciousness. If great personalities like Prithu Maharaj, like Rupa Goswami, they're praying like this, then we should understand what awaits us in this Krishna consciousness. I remember Bhakti Maharaj, in one lecture, he says that there's a great festival. A great festival is awaiting us when we are sleeping. Great enjoyment is waiting us. Great bliss is awaiting us when we are simply sleeping. I remember when we were children, sometimes we would sleep before the evening meal is ready. And then they have to wake us up to eat before we go to bed. And sometimes when they wake us because of sleep, too much sleep, we actually don't want to wake up to eat the meal. So our mothers, our parents will be shouting and beating us to wake up and eat. But once we are awake, we begin to eat voraciously. When our eyes are open and we see how tasty the food is, very nice food, we are enjoying the food like anything. So similarly, the festival, Utsava, Mahosava, great festival is waiting for us in Krishna consciousness, but we are sleeping. Therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Jiv Jago, Gora Chandra Bhole. We are sleeping on the laps of Maya. And Gora Chandra, Lord Chaitanya, is calling, wake up sleeping souls, and come and enjoy this Krishna consciousness. So from such statements, we can understand how devotional service is a pleasure trip. It's a wonderful program. And if we take it seriously, we will never be losers. Never. Nobody loses on the path of devotional service. Actually, everything increases and increases and increases. Ananda Burdi Vardhanam, Lord Chaitanya has said in his Shaktika prayers. The ocean of nectar increases and increases and increases. I was telling somebody that death is very blissful. And the gentleman said, what are you saying? How can you say death is very blissful? I said, death is very blissful. Actually, death means samadhi. For one who is Krishna conscious, death is a happy event. But one who is not Krishna conscious, death is a very painful event. One who is absorbed in Krishna consciousness and is enjoying Krishna consciousness and is aspiring to go back to Godhead, he's waiting to go back to Godhead. Death is wasting his time. Death is wasting his time. He sees death as a friend. When will that day happen? When I'll give up this miserable body and take up my spiritual body and enter into Krishna's association and relish that wonderful association. So death is samadhi for a very serious devotee, very committed devotee, very advanced devotee. Death is nothing but entering into Krishna Leela. Is nothing but simply opening up the intense pleasure, intense bliss. Like in the sixth canto, it talks about the sage that the demigods were asked to go and obtain his bones, Dadichi Muni. When the demons were harassing the demigods, they were defeated by the demons, especially headed by Vritrasur. They went to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu said, all right, you go and see this great sage, Dadichi Muni. He is such a special sage that his bones are empowered. His bones are so much fortified with spiritual potency. If he volunteers to give you his bones and you make the thunderbolt Vrajra from that bones, you can defeat the demons. You can be able to kill Vritrasura. So they should go and see the Dichimuni. So the demigods, all of them, they went and approached the Dichimuni. And they said, please, great sage, we have come to ask for some charity from you. And they say, all right, what charity do you want? And they say, we want your bones. So if you ask for somebody's bones, it means he should die. Because he cannot give you the bones and still live. So that Ichimuni says, so you people want me to die? That's what you're telling me. And I said, yes. Lord Vishnu sent us to you, that we should come to you for your bones. So please give us your bones. And there was a very beautiful discussion between the Ichimuni and the demigods. But there was some very important thing he said. He said that those who give charity, they should understand how difficult it is for the beggar. Because to beg means you must take a humble position. There is no question of a proud beggar. If you are a beggar and you are proud, nobody will mind you. If you want to beg, you have to take a humble position. So that Ichimuni said, those who give charity, they should understand the position of a beggar. He has humbled himself. He has taken a very meek position to come to you to beg. He has given up his false ego, actually. Then he also said that those who beg, they should also understand that it is very difficult to part with things that are very dear to somebody. Both receivers and givers, they have to have some level of piety. Otherwise, they cannot do that. The beggar must be humble enough to take a humble stand and beg. And the giver must be detached enough to part with his property. People who are very attached to their property, they cannot give you 1 penny. They can't give you anything because they're very attached. So when somebody gives us something, no matter how small it is, we should appreciate that that person is detached. If there were no detachment in his mind, he will never give anything. So the Ichimuni told the demigods that the beggars must understand that it requires some amount of piety for somebody to part with his property. And the giver must also understand that it requires some amount of humility for the beggars to come and beg. So some very interesting conversation went on between Dadichi Muni and the demigod. But finally, Dadichi Muni gave his bones. And how did he give his bones? He simply entered into trance. He entered into samadhi. He withdrew his consciousness. He increased his bliss. And he left his body. And the demigods carried his body and took the bones and they gave it to Vishwarup. And Vishwarup made the thunderbolt. And with that thunderbolt, Vritrasura was killed. And the demigod and the demons were defeated. And the demigods retained their kingdom. They took back their kingdom. So, it's interesting, the process of Bhakti. Bhakti is a very interesting process. It's a very blissful process. A very ecstatic process. Susukam avyayam. Even Krishna himself says it in Bhagavad Gita. Susukam avyayam. It is happily performed. If we do it properly, we should be happy. No one should feel unhappy in Krishna consciousness because it's a happy process. But if we are not doing it properly, then we will not feel the bliss of Krishna consciousness. So we should do it properly so that we can really, really enjoy Krishna consciousness. It's a festival. It's a Usab. It's a great festival that awaits us. And as soon as we are ready, as soon as we develop the necessary qualification, our life will never be the same. We'll be happy throughout our lives. That is the gift Srila Prabhupada has given to the world. And especially the devotees, those living entities who have accepted to follow this path of transcendence. It's a great fortune. It's Mahabhagya, great fortune. Go to the next.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Rasa Vilas asked a question. Rasa Vilas, he raised his hand while you were explaining it previously. So I wanted to finish before.
Okay, let him ask his question.
Rasa Vilas,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
My question is based on the previous slide we read before this slide.
Okay.
I don't know if Salaka Prabhu can share so that I can just read the portion.
Okay, I'm going there.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I was already multitasking. This one, right?
Not launched yet.
7, yeah.
Yeah. No, Pretty Maharaj's prayer. Then, my dear Lord, I therefore do not wish to have the benediction of merging into your existence. My question is based on the 6 liberations.
5.
The 6 liberations that the devotee attained, which the 5, which the first one says to be, I think, to have the same features like Krishna. If one desires to merge into the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, is that not a liberation?
Sayunjya, there are 5. And out of the 5, one is abhorred by devotees. That is called Sayunjya Mukti, whereby one merges into the effulgence of the Lord. A devotee never wants that. The other ones are Swarupya, Salokya, Shasti, and Samipya. That having the same bodily features like the Lord, living on the same planet with the Lord, having the Lord, and having the same opulence with the Lord. These 4, some devotees accept. But then the last one, Sayujya, which is merging into the effulgence of the Lord, devotees reject that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
We move on to slide 89.
Yeah, dear.
So pure devotional service is beyond liberation. Pure devotional service is beyond liberation. The impersonalists desire to merge into the existence of the Supreme, but without keeping their individuality, they have no chance of hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, because they have no idea of the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. There is no chance of their chanting and hearing of his transcendental activities. In other words, unless one is already beyond liberation, one cannot relish the transcendental glories of the Lord, nor can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord. So the impersonalists, they deny the form of the Lord. And similarly, they deny the transcendental activities of the Lord. And why? Because they have no idea that there are spiritual planets within Vaikuntha, within the spiritual atmosphere, Vaikuntha, Lok. There are spiritual planets, and there are transcendental forms of the Lord on those planets with trillions of devotees rendering service, exchanging loving relationships with the Lord. They have no idea of what is going on in the spiritual world. That is their misfortune. The impersonalists are considered very, very unfortunate. Even though they may consider themselves advanced souls, advanced spiritualists, they may parade on the street as sannyasis and yogis and whatnot, but they are wallowing in ignorance because they have no idea the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They have no idea the spiritual planets that are so many. The spiritual sky is abound with unlimited spiritual planets. And on each of these planets, the Lord expands himself and is there with trillions and quadrillions and zillions of devotees engaging in wonderful pastimes. They are relishing the association of the Lord in such a wonderful way. Because they don't have this knowledge, so they want to merge into Brahman Jyoti. So here Rupa Goswami is saying that they want to merge into the existence of the Supreme, and by doing so, they lose their individuality. And when they lose their individuality, they also lose the chance of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, because they have no idea of the transcendental form of the Lord. So what a misfortune. What a misfortune for these entities. In fact, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Benares, he was on his way to Vrindavan, so he stopped over in Benares. Benares is a very ancient city. Even at the time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was a home of study. People used to go there to study. Swarup Damodara had gone there to study. He took sannyas there. And then he's a personal associate of the Lord. So when he heard about the preaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri, he left Benares and he came to become his personal servant. And he even gave up his sannyas title and became Swarup Damodara. He gave up his sannyas name and became Swarup Damodara in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling, he stopped over in Benares. And Benares is the home of impersonalists. Even today, there are two cities in India, you can see a lot of impersonalists. Haridwar and Benares. When you get there, you just see saffron cloth everywhere. Mayavad sannyasis, they are everywhere. You can count more sannyasis in Benares and Haridwar more than the other people. Everywhere you turn, you see saffron cloths. Everywhere, temples and saffron cloths. All Mayavadis. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Benares, he held kirtan. He had kirtan with his devotees. There were a few devotees in Benares, Chandrasekhar and Co, Tapana Misra and Co. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu held kirtan with these people. And the news reached the head of the Mayavadis, Prakashananda Saraswati. Prakashananda Saraswati, he was the guru of the impersonalists. And he had thousands of disciples, sannyasi disciples. So when the news reached that there was a young sannyasi dancing in town, Prakashananda criticized Lord Chaitanya. And the news reached one devotee at Tapana Misra. So he approached Lord Chaitanya and said, I feel pain that these Mayavadis are criticizing you. So why don't you go there and defeat them? The Lord Chaitanya said, I have no time. I have no time for Mayavadis. I don't even want to associate. I don't want to see their faces. I won't go there. So Lord Chaitanya, he left and went to Vrindavan. But on his way back, he stopped again over. And this time, Tapana Misra pleaded and pleaded and pleaded and said, my dear Lord, you have come to deliver the whole world. So you should also deliver these Mayavadis. They need to be delivered. If you don't go and deliver them, who will deliver them? So please, go and talk to them. So on the plea of Tapana Misra, Lord Chaitanya accepted to go to meet Prakashananda and his thousands of disciples. And there was some debate. They brought up some issues. They were criticizing the Lord. You are a sannyasi. You're supposed to be studying Vedanta Sutras. Why are you dancing on the street like a foolish person, like a crazy fellow? Why are you doing these things? A sannyasi's life is to study the scriptures and not dance sentimentally on the street. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made a very significant statement. He said, I am a fool, Mukha. I am a big fool. My spiritual master, he saw that I'm a fool. So he knows I cannot study Vedanta Sutra. So he said, just chant this mantra and dance. It's for fools. So I started dancing, I started chanting and dancing, and I'm feeling some ecstasy. I'm getting the result of singing and dancing. So because my guru knows that I'm a fool, I can't study Vedanta, he gave me this mantra, and I'm seeing the effect of this mantra. I'm enjoying it. So I'm happy with it. So the argument went on, but they observed because they meditated on the personal aspect of the Lord. As the Lord was sitting in one corner, Prakashananda could see the effulgence, the Brahman that they're meditating on. Lord Chaitanya was emitting that Brahman. His whole body was glowing with that Brahman. So Saraswati Prakashananda was bewildered. Said, this sannyasi, how is it that the Brahman that we are meditating on is coming from him? How is it that the thing we are struggling to merge with, he has it as coming out of his body? He must be a very exalted personality. So when they saw that, they started showing respect. Before, they were not showing respect to Lord Chaitanya. But when they saw that, they started showing respect. And the Lord took advantage and smashed their philosophy to pieces and converted Prakashananda Saraswati to a Vaishnava. And all of his disciples, the next day in Benares, they all joined Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sankirtan. It was a shock for the citizens of Benares to see that this hardcore impersonalist, Prakashananda Saraswati, was now in the Chaitanya Sankirtan team with his hands upraised and dancing ecstatically with all his followers following him. So before then, they were in great ignorance. They didn't know that the Lord has a form, he has a name, he has qualities, he has transcendental activities, and these things can make one happy. But when they interacted with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were enthused, they were inspired, and they joined the Harinam party. And so Mahaprabhu converted all the impersonalists at that time to his cult of Vaishnava practice. And they all enjoyed Krishna. In fact, when Lord Chaitanya was leaving Benares, they were crying. They wanted him to stay longer so that they can enjoy the bliss of his association. But Lord Chaitanya said, I have many businesses, I have many places to go, I have many devotees to meet. So what I've taught you, what I've given you, carry it on, practice it, and you can still feel my association. So the impersonalists, they're actually depriving themselves of that blissful situation of relishing the Lord's association by hearing his glories, by hearing his pastimes. by chanting and hearing. So this is the misfortune. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned us that we should never associate with Mayavadis. So if we associate with Mayavadis or listen to their philosophy, he says it's as good as drinking poison. Yes, anyone who associates with Mayavadis or listen to their philosophy is as good as voluntarily drinking poison. So we have to be careful with this Mayavad philosophy. We go to the next slok, the next slide. I think slide 90. So he said the greatness of devotional service. The great soul King Bharat was so much attached to the service of the lotus feet of Krishna that he very easily gave up his lordship over the earthly planet and his affection for his children, society, friends, royal opulence, and beautiful wife. He was so very lucky that the goddess of fortune was pleased to offer him all kinds of material concessions. He never accepted any of these material opulences. Any person whose heart is attracted by the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhusudana, does not care even for that liberation which is aspired to by many great sages, what to speak of material opulence. So that is the greatness of Bhakti. Bhakti surpasses everything else, because Bhakti is actually not different from Krishna. Krishna is described as Parata Para. Parata Para means better than the best. That is Krishna's position. He's better than the best. Parata Para. So devotional service, which relates to Krishna, is actually the best activity for the living entity, for the jiva. That's our real life. Savam Pumusha Parod Harmo, Yato Bhaktira Doksaje. Our real occupation, our real business is Krishna consciousness. Our real activity is Krishna consciousness. So here Bharat Maharaj, he gave up everything material. He gave up affection for his children, society, friends, royal opulence, beautiful wife. Even the goddess of fortune was very attracted to his detachment, that he was ready to award him anything he wanted. But Bharat Maharaj rejected, because he was relishing the nectar of devotional service, and therefore he did not want anything else. So we all have the opportunity to relish devotional service. And we don't even need to give up our families, give up our jobs, give up our occupations. No. Mahaprabhu has made everything very, very easy for us. He said in Kali Yuga, what we need to do is just add Krishna to whatever you're doing. Make sure Krishna enjoys the results of your actions. And you can also enjoy Krishna consciousness. Whatever you're doing, add Krishna. Make sure that Krishna is enjoying the results of your sweat. Krishna is a beneficiary of your sweat. And then one can also experience transcendence. Yat karosi, yat anyasi, juhosi dadasi yat. Whatever we do, whatever we eat, and whatever we give away in charity, it should be done as an offering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So we should add Krishna to our activities, and then we can also enjoy the transcendental bliss of Krishna consciousness. That is the special mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Raghunath Das Goswami wanted to leave home and join him, he said, don't worry, just stay at home, practice your Krishna consciousness. Same thing, Tapana Misra wanted to join Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, no, just stay at home and chant Hare Krishna and preach Krishna consciousness. Many devotees, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed like that. They want to follow him. They were so inspired to follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, no. Just stay where you are, chant Hare Krishna and preach Krishna consciousness and offer your food to Krishna and take prasad, and you are connected. So Mahaprabhu has made it much more easier for us. So we should just do that. Slide 91. The greatness of a devotee. Narayana para sarve na kutas chana bibyati. Swaga parvaga narakeshu apituliata darshinaha. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of God in Narayan never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. So, this is Lord Shiva glorifying Chitraketu Maharaj when he was cursed by Parvati in the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Chitraketu had met with Sankarshan and he gave him a mantra, and within 6 days, actually his spiritual master, Parvati Muni, and Narada Muni, they gave him a mantra. He chanted the mantra for 6 days, and he had darshan of Sankarshan. And then Sankarshan benedicted him with a special aircraft. And then he was flying around the whole universe. And then he came to Lord Shiva's abode, and he saw Lord Shiva giving lecture to thousands of sages with his wife sitting on his lap. And Chitraketu laughed, and Parvati became very angry and cursed him to become a demon. So, but when he was cursed, he just came down with his airplane, touched the ground, paid obeisances to Parvati and Lord Shiva, and accepted the curse. And Lord Shiva began to glorify the Vaishnava. He began to glorify Chitraketu Maharaj. And so this was one of the verses. Excuse me, I have to open a door for somebody. A minute. So this is the greatness of a devotee. Devotees are such exalted personalities that for them, heavenly planets, liberation, hellish planets, they're all the same. But wherever a devotee goes, he chants Hare Krishna. Wherever he goes, he glorifies the Lord. So he doesn't see any difference between these situations. Whether you are in heaven, you are in liberation, you are in hell, whatever. A devotee wants to chant Hare Krishna, wants to glorify the Lord. Their only business is to render service. They don't care the situation. You send a devotee to hell, you render service. You send it to anywhere, you want to render service. And so that is the exalted position that devotees attain. And so the next slide glorifies. Glorifies. The next slide glorifies the position of a devotee. Mukti stands with folded hands at the doorstep of a devotee. Mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevate asman dharmartha karma dataya samaya prakitshaha. Biva Mangal Thakur is saying, if one develops his natural devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukti stands before him with folded hands to offer all kinds of service. In other words, the pure devotee automatically achieves liberation even without desiring it. This is Biva Mangal Thakur in Krishna Karanamrita. It is said, Bhakti Twai Sitaratara Bhagavan Yadisyat Daivina Na Falati Divya Kaishora Murtihi. My dear Lord, if my dedication and veneration to you is permanent, if it is settled, if it reaches such a height that I can find Divya Kishora Murti, the young transcendental couple engaged in the highest pastimes. If I can find that eternal pastimes of the divine couple, then the facility of liberation with folded hands will come to serve us in any way we like. So the point here is, if one has developed such devotion that he can see the divine couple, Kaishorya Murti, the young couple, Radha and Krishna, engaged in the highest pastimes, at that point, liberation will become a maidservant at the doorstep of a devotee. So even liberation personified, he wants to render service to a Vaishnava. Liberation personified, he wants to take the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. While the impersonalists are aspiring to merge with the effulgence, the Brahman effulgence, liberation personified is taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. So who is greater? Definitely, the Vaishnavas are greater. The goal of the impersonalists is Brahman Jyoti, but the personification of Brahman Jyoti is begging to render service to the Vaishnava. So therefore, the Vaishnava is superior to the The next slide. Next slide. Devotees are satisfied in devotional service and desire nothing else. And 93 and 93, you're on 94. Go back to the next, the previous one. Okay. 93. Devotees are satisfied in devotional service and desire nothing else. Matsevaya pratitam te shalokyadi chatustayam nekanti sevaya purna kuto nyatkala viplutam. My devotees who are always satisfied to be engaged in my loving service are not interested even in the 4 principles of liberation: Shalokya, Sarupya, Samipya, and Sastri, although these are automatically achieved by their service. What then is to be said of such perishable happiness as elevation to the higher planetary systems? So Krishna is speaking. Actually, I think this is to Durvasa Muni. Excuse me, somebody is calling me. I want to put the phone off. So a devotee is so satisfied with his devotional service, with his relationship with Krishna, so much so that even Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, and Sastri do not attract him, because he's so satisfied. Krishna Das Kaviraj says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Dana Jana Nahi Magon Kavita Sundari Sudha Bhakti Deha Mora Krishna Kripa Kari. My dear Lord Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you, nor do I want followers, nor do I want a beautiful wife or the results of fruitful activities. I only pray that by your causeless mercy, you give me pure devotional service, life after life. This is also similar to Mahaprabhu's 4th stanza, Nandanamna Janamna Sundarin. I don't want this, I don't want this, I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. So a devotee is simply satisfied rendering service to Krishna. A devotee is simply satisfied pleasing Krishna. But it's not that a devotee is bereft of happiness, because he's engaged in Krishna conscious activity, because engaged in bhakti. Krishna reciprocates with the devotee. So as we try to please Krishna, as we try to satisfy Krishna, Krishna also reciprocates with us. There is no loss in this activity of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes the material activities we are cheated. Sometimes we work very hard for the company, but they don't pay us enough. Sometimes we are entitled to some benefits, we don't get it, because the authorities, the material authorities, they are imperfect. They cannot calculate things properly. They cannot see things properly. But in the case of Krishna, those things don't happen, because Krishna is right there in your heart. Krishna is sitting down there witnessing every Dharma activity, every thought, every feeling. Krishna is right there. And so when you are feeling, you develop that feeling, that affection to Krishna, towards Krishna, Krishna can feel it from within your heart. And Krishna will reciprocate to the degree that you have developed the affection for Krishna. The next slide, 94. So somebody would like to read this.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, I can read.
Slide 94. Attraction to the original form of the Lord, the foremost position. Out of many kinds of devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the one who is attracted to the original form of the Lord Krishna in Vrindavan is considered to be the foremost first-class devotee. Such a devotee is never attracted by the opulences of Vaikuntha or even of Dwarka, the royal city where Krishna ruled. The conclusion of Srila Rupa Goswami is that the devotee who are attracted by the pastimes of the Lord in Gokul or Vrindavan are the topmost devotees. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya told Raghupati Upadhyaya, Shama mevam paro rupam, puri madhu puri varaha, vaya kaishore kam jayam, adyaiva paro rasaha. Lord Chaitanya told Raghupati that the form of Shama Sundara is a supreme form, and the city of Mathura is a supreme abode. And Lord Krishna's fresh youth, Kaishori form, should always be meditated upon. It's the best form to meditate upon. That's the original form. And the mellow of conjugal love is the supreme mellow. So therefore, a devotee is attracted to that Swayam Bhagavan, original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is in Vrindavan. And that is the great fortune of the Brajavasis. They are so fortunate that they associate with the original form of Krishna. And it is said that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So the Brajavasis, they are always enjoying that original form of Krishna in Vrindavan. Uddhava was thinking himself very exalted because he was a constant of Krishna. Actually, Uddhava was considered the prime minister of the Yadus, of Dwaraka. Krishna will not take a decision without consulting with Uddhava. And Uddhava had his bodily hue, his color was like that of Krishna. They were the same age. So it is said that sometimes people used to mistake Uddhava for Krishna because he looked almost like Krishna, the same age, same beauty, like actually Swarupya. And Uddhava had achieved the Swarupya Mukti. He had attained the form of the Lord, which was as beautiful as the Lord. So Uddhava was kind of considering himself a very exalted person, that he is always with Krishna, he's Krishna's prime minister, he's Krishna's advisor. But Krishna wanted to show him that there are superior devotees to Uddhava. So he sent Uddhava to Vrindavan with a message. And when Uddhava saw the love the gopis had for Krishna, he realized that he stands nowhere. So therefore, Uddhava desired to become a blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that the gopis will step on him and the dust from their lotus feet will fall on his head. So Uddhava saw the love of the gopis. He saw the love of the Brajavasis. and he was amazed. He was thunderstruck to see the amount of affection the residents of Vrindavan had for Krishna. So he saw that he had no place. His so-called position was nothing compared with those of the Brajavasis. So therefore, he became a blade of grass. It is said that Uddhava is still living in Vrindavan. There's a place called Uddhava Charita. He's still there. And if you know how to do strong kirtan, you can attract Uddhava. He can come out from his hideout as a blade of grass in Vrindavan, near Govardhan Hill. So the residents of Vrindavan, they are considered the topmost devotees of Krishna because they are associating with the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Go to the next one, slide 95.
Hare Krishna, Your Holiness.
Hare Krishna.
Rasa wants to ask a question.
Okay, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Please, I wanted to know. I've read in a portion of the Gita, I've forgotten the text though, where it said the Lord has got numerous forms and a devotee of the Lord can choose any of the forms to meditate on. But you just mentioned that the Kishori form of the Lord is the best. I also know of the Shama Sundara from the Acha Vigraha. Which of them, could you please elaborate us on how the form looks like? Some of us are not so common in the names. Hare Krishna.
The original form is Shama Sundara form. Bluish Shama Sundara means like the color of the sky. The color of the sky. Actually, Prabhupada said that the color of the sky is reflected from Krishna's color. The color of the sky is indicating the original color of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Shama Sundara form is the color of the sky. And the Shama Sundara form doesn't age beyond 16 years. That's why it's called Kaishori. Kaishori means a young boy, not more than 16 years. So that is the original form. But Krishna has so many other forms. And many devotees, they love different forms. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he loves the Narasimha form. Like Hanuman, he loves the Ramachandra form. And different devotees, they love different forms. So, but the understanding here is that the original form is the Shama-Sundara form, Kaishorya form, and that is what the Brajavasis, the residents of Vrindavan, that is their Lord. The Yadus, they also worship Krishna, but that is Vasudev Krishna. It is not Nandan Krishna. So it is not very easy to differentiate. But the sweetness of the pastimes is the way we differentiate. The Shama-Sundara, the form, Kaishora form, and the Vasudev Krishna in Dwaraka, there is not much difference. It's just the activity, the pastimes. But any form of Krishna will give you bliss and pleasure. Whichever form attracts your mind. Krishna is so benevolent that he makes himself available to all different kinds of devotees according to their taste. So whichever form you want to worship, you want to serve, Krishna makes that form available. That is his benevolence.
Maharaj, please, what of the Acha Vigraha form?
Acha Vigraha is the incarnation of the Lord. The deity, even though he's appearing in metal, in stone, marble, in wood as Jagannath, but that is considered the mercy incarnation, because as neophytes, we cannot see Krishna's transcendental form. So therefore, out of the mercy of the Lord, he incarnates as the Acha Vigraha, the deity, so that neophytes like us, we can see the Lord in his Ashavigraha form. We can render some service. We can have some exchange with that Ashavigraha form, and gradually we become purified. And then we reach a level where we can actually see his transcendental form. And at that time, we'll see that there's no difference between the transcendental form and the Ashavigraha. So the Ashavigraha is non-different from Krishna, but he manifests in the form of the material elements so that a neophyte devotee can also see and serve the Lord. So that is therefore considered a mercy incarnation of the Lord.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So let's move on. Slide 95. Somebody can read that also.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please, you can read.
The purity of devotion and service. Of all the different processes of self-realization, only Bhakti Yoga is completely pure and free from dependence on external prerequisites.
Yes, devotional service is so pure. Why? Because it is coming from the transcendental world. Actually, devotional service is not a material activity. It is not. Devotional service, it is the activity of the spiritual world. It's the activity of the transcendental world. But because the living entities in the material world are also parts and parcels of Krishna, Krishna sends his pure devotees here, and Krishna incarnates here to make devotional service available for the conditioned souls so they can revive their consciousness and go back. So even though devotional service is introduced into the material world for the benefit of the living entities, still it should not be considered material activity. It's transcendental. Therefore, it has the capacity of transforming anyone who associates with devotional service, transforming us from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. It has that ability because it is actually not different from the spiritual sky, it's not different from Krishna. Anything related to Krishna is as good as Krishna. It's called Dvayagyan. Anything associated with Krishna is as good as Krishna. So devotional service is actually not different from Krishna because it's linked to Krishna, it's related to Krishna. It's activities for giving pleasure to Krishna. It is under the Ladini Shakti. Devotional service is under the care of the Ladini Shakti, Srimati Radharani. So it's a divine activity. And so therefore it must be pure.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In the course of explaining this slide, you mentioned anything that is related to Krishna is Krishna.
Yes, anything related to Krishna is as good as Krishna.
It's as good as Krishna.
Yeah,
Okay.
Advayagyan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the business also sometimes they have this mentality that because they're part and parcel of Krishna, some people develop the misconception that they are also God, they are also Krishna, because they are also
Well,
The living entity also is related to Krishna. So is he as good as Krishna?
Actually, Prabhupada says that we are as good as Krishna. He says, the servant is a servant God and the master God. He used some words. Sevita Bhagavan and Seva Bhagavan. Prabhupada used those words. Says Sevita Bhagavan and Seva Bhagavan. One is the Supreme Personality of Godhead that has to be served. And one is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has to render service. So in that way, Prabhupada is explaining that the living entity is as good as God, but his real position is to render service. So if the Mayavadis, if the impersonalists, if they have this mentality that they are servants of God, then there is nothing wrong with the way they are thinking. But they do not see themselves as servants of God, they rather see themselves as competitors of God. And that brings the problem, because they want to compete with God. So Krishna himself says, Mama Ivam Sojiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Every living entity is part and parcel of me. So that means, to some degree, we are as good as God, because we are part and parcel of him. But our position is service. We are servitors. We are servitors. We are servants. And he is the enjoyer. He's Bhokta, Bhoktaram. He's the enjoyer. So if we recognize our position as servants of the Supreme Lord, that is the principle. Like the cowhead boys. The cowhead boys, they see themselves as equal to Krishna, and Krishna enjoys that. The cowhead boy, they don't see Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They see him as their equal, their friend. And Krishna enjoys relating to the cowhead boys as his equals. You see, but because of their love for Krishna, because of their Sakya Bhava, Sakya Rasa, they are rendering service as friends to Krishna. Similarly, Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, they are even relating to Krishna as superiors. But because of their love for Krishna, Krishna accepts them as superiors. What is gopis? They are in complete love, conjugal affairs with Krishna. Krishna accepts them as to be as equal to him. So, is the mentality. Yes, we are one with God, but there is oneness and there is also difference. Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. We are one with the Supreme, but we are actually meant for his service. And so if we don't accept that service attitude, that service position, then we become enemies to the Supreme Lord. And that is their problem. They want to compete with God instead of becoming servants of God. Is that okay? Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Does this also affirm the conception that the Christian background having that Jesus Christ is God? Does it affirm by the explanation you just gave?
Well, you see, they also misunderstand. They are just speaking like the Mayavadis. They are also presenting Mayavad philosophy. Christ himself never said he is equal to God. In Christ's statements, he never said so. But this is a trend of Mayavad philosophy. Because Christ said, my Father has sent me. And then at the time of his crucifixion, Christ made it clear. He said, Father, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? Then he said, anyway, this pot of poison, this cup of poison, I don't want to drink it. That's the crucifixion. I don't want to drink it. But if it's your wish, I surrender. So Christ establishes the superior position of Krishna. So for them to say Christ is as good as God, he's equal to God, he's God, this is all Mayavad. Because Christ never said that. He says he's the Son of God. And he said, anybody can also become son of God. We only need to be qualified. He says, as many people take my instructions, as many people follow my instructions, they are also empowered to become sons of God. So he's the perfect son of God. He comes to teach us how to also become sons of God. Christ never claimed that he's God. Though he said, I and my Father are one. That should not be misinterpreted to mean that they are equal in every aspect. The living entity and Krishna are also one. Mama Ivam Sojiva Loke Jiva Buddha Sanatana. We are also one with Krishna because we are part and parcel of him. Sachidananda, the qualities of God, we have it. But we are not equal to him in every aspect. Qualitatively, yes, we are one with God. But quantitatively, no. That is the Vaishnava Siddhanta.
In the Christian theology,
Yeah.
the foundation for that statement was based on the fact that in the beginning there was the Word was with God, and
Yes.
God, and the Word is God. So how will you explain that?
See, that is another area. See, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about the creation, how the creation emanated from sound. So that's sound they're talking about. You see, the whole philosophy of Christendom is taken from the Srimad Bhagavatam. You'll be surprised. Many, many things are taken from Bhagavatam. The story of Moses about the boat is from the Bhagavatam. And many things are from the Bhagavatam. So the creation of the world, the creation of living entities, all comes from that sound. Sabda Brahman. But they don't understand it, so they give it their own interpretation. Everything is created from sound. Everything. Even Brahma's meditation, Brahma's austerities. When Brahma was confused in the beginning, how was he instructed? By sound. Brahma had tapa, and with his great intelligence, he understood that I must perform some austerity in order to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So sound is the source of our creation. Without sound, there cannot be creation. So that sound is with Krishna. That sound vibration with Krishna. But we cannot say that the sound is equal to Krishna because Krishna is the source of the sound. The energy and the energetic, one must be superior. The energy emanates from there and energetic. So, yes, the sound was with God. But who produced the sound? Where does the sound come from? The sound is coming from God. So can we say the sound is equal to God? No. Because the sound is not the source of God. God is the source of sound. So they are taking some material from the Vedas and they are giving it their own interpretation. Many things are taken from the Vedas, but they give it their own interpretation. And so the meaning is lost. The real meaning is lost. Our time is running out. It's already 9:30. And which slide are we on now?
We are on slide 96. Now we are supposed to be going to slide 96.
We are supposed to go to 96.
Yeah.
So we still have 10 slides. We can't finish today. So we are on 95. We are going to 96.
And there's a question from Chaitanya Bhagwat.
Okay.
Chaitanya Bhagwat probably asking Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Please, I would like to ask why in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna had to change his rasa from friendship to master servant when Krishna asked him to just surrender unto him. Is there a difference between Arjuna's parakya ras and the Gopas? Also, Maharaj, he asked a question. Let me just ask the two so that I can attend to them together. Also, Maharaj, can one who is relating with Krishna in friendship advance to conjugal love? So the first question is, Arjuna changes rasa from friendship to servitorship, then is that changeable? Then can one also advance from one rasa to the other rasa?
Well, Arjuna did not change his position per se, as he changed his position to become a disciple. Shishyaham. He became a disciple because initially Arjuna was arguing with Krishna. They were like on equal level. They're friends. And so Prabhupada said there was a friendly talk from the beginning. It was like a friendly talk. But you cannot make progress spiritually with a friendly talk. If you see the spiritual master as your friend and you can just deal with him like a friend, then you will not take the message from him very seriously. And therefore you cannot make enough progress. The spiritual master must always be seen as a superior. And therefore you are ready to abide by his orders and instructions, and then you can make progress. So Arjuna was relating to Krishna as a friend. And so in the beginning it was like a friendly talk. But Arjuna realized that he was going nowhere with that friendly talk. So he immediately became a disciple. He took an inferior position, a disciple, so that he can receive instructions from Krishna, and then he can execute the orders of the spiritual master. So it's not that he really changed his position from Sakya to Dasya. No, he just changed his position from arguing with Krishna on the same level to accepting his position as a disciple so that he can receive instructions from him. Friendship still continue. And we can even see that when Krishna accepted to drive his chariot, it was based on the friendship. And even we see that during the course of the battle, Arjuna was giving instructions to Krishna. Does it mean that Arjuna has changed his position to become a Vasalya, to the Vasalya Bhav? No. But it was all based on the friendship. So his eternal relationship with Krishna is Sakya Ras, friendship. So whatever he's doing is based on that rasa, that friendship. But sometimes to take instructions from a person, you must be ready to take a humble position. To take instructions from a superior, you must be ready to take a humble position. So he took a humble position so that he can receive Bhagavad Gita. Actually, Vanacari says that Arjuna took that position of a disciple on our behalf. It's not that Arjuna did not understand Krishna. It's not that Arjuna did not know what Krishna wants. Krishna put Arjuna in that situation, that bewilderment. He said that bewilderment of Arjuna was actually a benediction for the living entities in the material world. Because if Arjuna was not, if he did not go through that bewilderment, and then there was no need for Bhagavad Gita, then what shall we be discussing today? So Krishna was so kind, he put Arjuna in that illusion, and then Arjuna accepted the position of a disciple, and then Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, even though Arjuna was aware of Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna spoke to the sun god millions of years ago, Arjuna was there. So he's acquainted with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. But Krishna wanted to leave this message behind for us. And so he put Arjuna under illusion. Yogamaya placed him under illusion so that he can play the role of a disciple and inquire from him. And this knowledge was revealed so that the world will still have Bhagavad Gita. Because the first time Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god, that knowledge was lost. And so now he has to repeat it. And Arjuna was used as an instrument for making sure the Bhagavad Gita is available in this world. So we see it as Krishna's mercy to make Bhagavad Gita available. for the other issue of changing rasas, I've also read somewhere that it is possible to change one's rasa temporarily, especially in the spiritual world. When you're in the spiritual world, that sometimes people want to experience other rasas. So it is possible to change to one rasa, but it's temporary. You cannot maintain that rasa forever because it's not your natural rasa. Everybody has his natural rasa with Krishna. And that is our natural tendency, our natural service to Krishna. Everybody has that eternally. But sometimes some devotees want to experience how the other devotees are feeling in their rasa. So it is said that temporarily Krishna allows that so that they can experience what is going on. Right? It is said that sometimes even the members of Vaikuntha, they want to see what is happening in Goloka. So they're given a chance to assume certain rasas temporarily to just experience it, but they come back to Vaikuntha. I've read that somewhere. I have to look up to see where exactly the references, but I've come across that. That is a temporary change of rasa, very, very temporary. It's not permanent.
Okay, I think this question is also actually three. Apart from that, he also asked Arjuna's Parakiya Ras and the Gopals. Is there a difference between them?
Pardon me?
Is there a difference between Arjuna's Parakiya Ras and the Gopals?
Arjuna is not Parakya. Parakya Ras is for the gopis. The gopis is Sakya Ras. Sakya Ras.
Yeah.
Ras is the friendship. Parakya is the Parakya and Swakya. Swakya are the married queens. Parakya are the gopis.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
think
the friendship of Arjuna with the cowhead boy is not different. Sometimes Arjuna is counted. When you count the friends of Krishna, Arjuna is counted among with the cowhead boys. So there's no difference.
Thank you.
All right. So I think we'll end here.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. We are very grateful.
We'll end here. They will next week.
Pray that Krishna will continue to strengthen and give you the intelligence to guide us.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, everybody. Vancha kalpataru vyasta, pasni vyasta,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Grace Srivas Vanacari, Prabhu ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Navataku ki Jai. Nitai Gora Piminande. Hare Krishna.
Really blessing us.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Salika.
Yes.
Announce unto you. Please, can you help out with the presentation on the previous units, 1 to 3?
I'm not hearing you, Prabhu. Speak a little louder.
Kindly help us with the presentation of the units 1 and 3. Units 1 to 3, yeah.
Just a second, let me mute this song. Okay. Every student will have all of the slides at the end of the training. I've discussed with Grace Srivas Vanacari, And yes, and so that at the end of, as we do with all other units of the course, at the end of the course, all of the students will have I'll share it on the platform for all of the students. I've asked him directly because I remember someone asked for the slide, and I asked him, I said, "What should I release it now or should I release at the end of the course?" So he said, since the tradition is at the end of the course, I should wait for the end of the course, then I'll give it to everyone. I hope that is okay by you.
Hare Krishna, what I'm thinking is what we have already treated. We should have that one so that
Because they are together in one file.
Okay, that's okay. If that's the issue, then
They are actually two files. What I will do is that this particular unit is divided into two. So once we finish the first part of it, I can drop the first part for everyone. Then when we enter into the second part of it, by the time we finish that also, I will share it.
that's very good. Okay? Sure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, for me, actually, I'm
change from Akinchana back to Akems. Sometimes you change to Akinchana. So maybe it's like you are like this Prince Akems more than the Akinchana.
No, Prabhu. No, Prabhu. Okay. It's because I have okay, let me go with my question first. I'm following, but the matter is this: I want a help.
Okay.
My help, the help I want is, I don't know, actually, in from the Nectar of Devotion,
Yeah.
in which chapter we are actually.
Okay.
Because it's like, first of all, I know we are dealing with the introduction, and then we go to the first chapter. Then I saw also we deal with the second chapter, but actually I don't know if you are in the third, fourth, or five or six. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand your question. You see, this is what it is. Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was written by Srila Rupa Goswami. But Srila Prabhupada, there are two books actually of Srila Prabhupada which are summary of the book itself. They are not the direct books. Srila Prabhupada, because of time, was not able to do just like he did with Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the word for word translation, purport, like that, because he saw that there was going to be enough time. So what he did with Nectar of Devotion is he did a summary. The other one he did like that. There are two books that Prabhupada did a summary like that. The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada was thinking that he may not have enough time before he leaves to be able to finish the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So before he get to 10th canto of Bhagavatam, he did a summary writing of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is what we read as Krishna book. If Prabhupada has not done that, we will not have had that comprehensive book called Krishna book. Prabhupada, towards the end of his life, started the 10th canto translation, and he didn't finish. I think he finished in 19th chapter or something like that, before his disciple finished the Srimad Bhagavatam is 12 cantos. So the 12 cantos, Prabhupada could not finish. He stopped at the middle of 10th canto. So, but Prabhupada, in his wisdom, because he knew he may not be able to stay to finish all of that, so he gave us Krishna book as a summary of the whole of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The same thing he did with Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which we call Nectar of Devotion. So Prabhupada saw that he may not be able to do the comprehensive translation and transliteration and purport to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So what he did now was give a summary, just like he did Krishna book. So now the teachers of Nectar of Devotion, depending on the teachers, when you are doing the Bhakti Sastri, the teachers have different presentation, and Grace Srivas Vanacari has taken the format that is presenting, is summarizing also the summary of what Srila Prabhupada has presented. Because if we have to go by chapter as it is presented in the summary of Srila Prabhupada, the time scope for Bhakti Sastri will not be able to cover it. So teachers of Bhakti Sastri, sometimes they devise the way they present it. So he is taking this formula whereby it takes the essence of a particular chapter and he presents it in a way that the student comprehend it. And that is what exactly he is doing with this. But when you take the whole of the slide, when you go back to the book, you'll see that every subject in the book is taken care of, but is presenting in a kind of a summary way. That is why he's presenting it the way he's presenting it. Because if he has to go, and let me also inform you that the Nectar of Devotion that we are doing now, we're not doing the whole of complete of Nectar of Devotion book. We are doing only 1 to 19, chapters 1 to 19. The other chapter is in the other Bhakti Bible. It's not inside this Bhakti Sastri. So that's what exactly publishing.
Okay. Actually, you are doing chapter 1 to 19.
Yes,
only.
That's what we're covering in this course. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then the presentation Maharaj is doing actually is cover only chapter 1 to 19. And I have also a small question there on which chapter he is actually.
Okay, when I show you this slide, when we started today, I can share the slide, I'll show you. It's covering chapters 3 to 4.
3 to 4.
Show the beginning of it.
Okay.
Let's see, 4, 5, and 6. That is what this, let me share that screen again so that you can see. At the beginning of today, you see lesson 3. Lesson 3 is covering chapters 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And you can see on your screen. So this, what we are treating now is chapters 4, 5, and 6. But he has put into summary format so that for the comprehension of the student, that's what he's doing.
Okay, Prabhu, I have a suggestion like this. It will be good for us all the time. We want to begin another, like you show me actually, chapter 3, 4,
chapter 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6. If you want to begin something like this, if you can share it, and then we will know. Then that actually we are dealing with chapter 4, 5, and 6. Then that who is coming, if it is perhaps 82, then you show the slide and then Prabhu also continue. Because that makes us to know for this part to this part, we know that we are in this chapter. For this part to this part, we are in this chapter. Because me, myself, I am confused, you know.
Yeah, I understand. Actually, when we were starting today, I put that cover page in front first before we started. I don't know whether you joined that time. Those who joined early, you will see that when we wanted to start, I put the chapters forward.
I was late
before we started the discussion. Maharaj starts his presentation, but I will remember to do that in the course subsequently. This chapters 4, 5, and 6 we have not finished. There are still about 10 slides to complete this, so we'll continue from there from next week Saturday. Yeah, and then when we finish that, the lesson 4, we're going to another slide. Actually, the next slide, there are the slides are put into two different slides. So, but I'll try to bring a notification. I showed it on screen, but I didn't say anything about it. But I'll speak about it when I present.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Then that will help me. That will help me. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So let's see more Bhajan and then we can close.
And also, I want to thank you because my English is not good, but you try to understand me.
It is perfect. English is not the primary language. My language also is not primarily English. We all learn it, so it's not a problem at all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. About the friends that comes and the Akichana. Akichana is on the computer, but the computer is not.
I saw that. I saw that you
Then that's why I with my hand phone. With my hand phone is Prince Akemsu is there, and the hand phone is all practical for me.
Yeah, when I saw the Akinchana with the backdrop, I could recognize that was a system. Yeah, no problem.
Then Prince Akemsu is for the hand phone. Then that is, and it is practical for me to use it. That's why all the time I use it. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
नवप्रेमयुतं नवनीतशुचं नववे नवधाविलसा शुभ प्रेममयं प्रणमामि शचीसुतं गौरवरं नवप्रेमयुतं नवनीतशुचं नववेशकृतं नवप्रेमरसं नवधाविलसा शुभ प्रेममयं प्रणमामि शशीसुतं गौरवरम् हरि भक्ति परम हरि नाम धरम कर जाप्य करम हरि नाम परम नयने सततम प्रणयाश्रुधरम प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरम हरि भक्ति परम
Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very much for being there. So we'll meet again Saturday next week by Krishna's grace. So bye for now.